The inmate's next of kin have been notified. As in all cases involving the death of an inmate, the Correctional Service of Canada will review the circumstances. CSC policy requires that the police and the coroner be notified. Media are invited to attend a technical briefing regarding the response operations for the grounded vessel MV Thamesborgen to Franklin Strait, Nunavut, where the briefing will be held over Zoom. Media will be able to ask questions to federal officials from the Canadian Coast Guard, Fisheries and media representatives who wish to cover the visit must obtain media accreditation. The media accreditation process is open to journalists who are on assignment with a bona fide media organization. Individuals performing journalistic functions who do not work for a media organization and are unable. Following the March 2025 G7 Foreign Ministers meeting, hosted by Minister Mélanie Joly in Charlevoix, Quebec, this upcoming meeting marks the second time Canada will host the foreign ministers this year under the G7 presidency. This meeting will bring together G7 ministers to discuss global challenge. The inmate's next of kin have been notified. As in all cases involving the death of an inmate, Correctional Service Canada will review the circumstances. CSC policy requires that the police and the coroner be notified. Ottawa Marie-France Lalonde, Member of Parliament, and the Honourable Mona Fortier, Member of Parliament, will make an announcement on Monday about minority language education and second language instruction. They will make this announcement on behalf of the Honourable Stephen Guilbeault, Minister of ZETA provides funding for the deployment of EV chargers and hydrogen refueling stations. Recipient, Nova Scotia Power Location, Nova Scotia Funding Amount $3,000,000. Description: the proponent will install 60 Level 3 EV chargers in public places. Recipient, Steel Auto Group Limited. Location, New Brunswick. Canada is making it easier for families and businesses to switch to an electric vehicle by expanding access to EV charging infrastructure across Atlantic Canada. Today, Cody Blois, Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister, on behalf of the Honourable Tim Hodgson, Minister of Energy and Natural. The G7 Competition Authorities and Policymakers Summit, hosted by Canada's Competition Bureau and the Department of Innovation, Science and Economic Development, concluded yesterday afternoon in Ottawa. The summit focused primarily on digital competition issues, especially algorithmic pricing, and our communities can only grow to support more housing when there are investments in foundational infrastructure projects, like public transit, water systems, and local roads and bridges. With today's announcement, that is exactly what the Government of Canada is delivering on. With the funding anno. Mr. Hashim has been serving as Executive Director of the CRRF since October 2020. Under his leadership, the Crown Corporation has expanded its presence and stature across Canada, advancing important national conversations on race relations, equity, and inclusion. He also leads the National Hate Crim. Ottawa, Brendan Hanley, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Northern and Arctic Affairs, will announce funding for Indigenous-led clean energy projects on behalf of the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, the Honourable Tim Hodgson, at the 2025 Canadian Water Power Week National Conference. The inmate's next of kin have been notified. As in all cases involving the death of an inmate, the Correctional Service of Canada will review the circumstances. CSC policy requires that the police and the coroner be notified. Saguenay, the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, the Honourable Tim Hodgson, will hold a media scrum in Saguenay, Quebec. He will be joined by Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Claude Gay. Time: 5 p.m. Eastern Time. All accredited media are asked to pre-register by Parks Canada and the Manitou Asani Innis Kim TSA Zany Centre, exploring locations within Elk Island National Park for future cultural centre. The cultures and identities of Indigenous peoples are rooted in the land, and honouring connections to place is an important element to reconciliation. Parks. Today, the Government of Canada published the retrospective report in the implementation of the Critical Election Incident Public Protocol during Canada's 45th general election, and the Security and Intelligence Threats to Elections Task Force's threats to Canada's 45th general election after action repo. Time: 10:00 a.m. Location, 12 Landing Court, Quispamsis, NBE 2E4R2. Members of the media are invited to join the Honorable John Zaraselli, Secretary of State, for a site visit and photo opportunity at the IBEW Mississauga Training Center. Please note that all details are subject to change. Notes for media. To register, contact media at hrsdcrhdcc.gc.ca with your name A. The contraband and unauthorized items seized included hashish, cannabis concentrate, tobacco, cell phones and cell phone chargers. The total estimated institutional value of these seizures is $61,258. The Correctional Service of Canada uses a number of tools to prevent drugs from entering its insti. Henceforth, the Honourable Cody Blois, Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister, on behalf of the Honourable Tim Hodgson, Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, will make a funding announcement regarding electric vehicle infrastructure in Atlantic Canada. A media availability will follow. Tim. The Honourable Stephen Guilbeault, Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture and Minister responsible for official languages, made the following statement. Today we join Hindu communities across Canada in celebrating Dussehra, also known as Vijayadashami, one of the most cherished festivals in Hindus. Montreal, the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, the Honourable Tim Hodgson, will make an energy innovation funding announcement. Media availability will follow. Time 2:15 p.m. Eastern Time. All accredited media are asked to pre-register by emailing media@nrcan-rcan.gc.ca. Details on how to participate. Our Canadian healthcare system is a point of pride and underpins our economic strength. Last May, the new government expanded the Canadian Dental Care Plan to include millions of new eligible Canadians. As of today, more than 5 million Canadians are now covered under the CDCP and can receive the D.